So we were driving across the country, viewing the wide open plains when I made a decision that would change my life forever. So despite being a third generation San Diegan, we had desperately been wanting to leave California for years now, but we just felt stuck. We'd already been thinking about moving to Idaho, and another unlikely trip to another state finally made us decide to pull that trigger and move here. My wife and 3 kids and I were driving to Missouri to visit her sister and her family who had escaped California a couple years before. They had moved after a BLM riot had erupted in a small community just outside of San Diego, and they could smell the fires mixed with tear gas wafting over their home. Their neighbor, who was a police officer, had worked around the clock, and my sister-in-law helped his wife pack her belongings into the car to flee to Arizona because they were fearing attacks against police officers at their homes. So as we're driving across the wide open plains of the southern US, it made us yearn for freedom and space. We had just gone through 2 years of COVID lockdowns, restrictions, draconian mandates, and BLM riots, and we had just had enough of the woke politics and high cost of living here. I'd always been proud to be a native Californian, but times have changed. It was no longer the city or the state that I had grown up and loved. We realized on this trip that we were just done with California and we had to leave. So I'd been hearing about Idaho for quite some time. In fact, several of my friends had already moved up here over the past 6 years. They absolutely loved it. I've been storing this for years. So when we first visited Idaho, we actually visited in December because we felt that if we visited when it was cold and dreary, we'd probably like it a lot better in the other seasons. And it certainly is cold, but it can also be so beautiful with the snow. Now, they took us to bustling Hyde Park in North End. We had pizza at North End Pizza. We went to the Christmas light show at the old penitentiary, and we had beers and coffee slushies at Western Collective. Santa was there taking photos with the kids and with dogs, and they had air hockey for the kids too. So everyone was super friendly despite us being from California, and the slower pace of life we were finding was for us. So one of the first things that I noticed here though, coming here from California, was the traffic. So I'd always been used to dealing with heavy traffic in California freeways, but the traffic in Boise is different. There's one major freeway, I-84, and it's hit and miss. There is a lot of construction out towards Caldwell. So if you're going that way, you're gonna get stuck off and on, but for the most part, it goes smooth. Now there is rush hour traffic in the morning and afternoon, but otherwise it's generally clear. But what I found was that the city's infrastructure just wasn't built to handle the influx of people over the recent years. So traffic has been a growing problem, especially with the 2-lane country roads that have been converted into main thoroughfares. So you can get stuck at the occasional stop sign or roundabout. But to be honest, if you can kind of avoid the rush hour, you pretty much don't get stuck in traffic at all. I also learned that the city's layout is on a grid, which helps you navigate and find alternative routes to avoid all that traffic. The other thing I had heard about stories were hostility towards Californians. In fact, a common phrase you're gonna hear is, "Don't California my Idaho." In fact, I just saw it on a bumper sticker the other day, but I've been pleasantly surprised that the vast majority of Idahoans, especially here in the Boise and Treasure Valley area, are super welcoming and friendly. The hostility towards Californians is more of a stereotype than it is a reality. I had heard about cars getting keyed that had California plates, but despite having my plates on for a few months before I changed them over, I never had any issues. But I have to admit I was relieved anyways when I did finally change them over. Now, the high cost of living here, and specifically home prices and rents, have certainly been driven up over the past few years, and local wages just haven't cut pace. So that's having native Idahoans having to move away in some cases, and that's really what's causing them to be upset with Californians. Now, moving here, I've had such a high quality of life improvement, and I absolutely love living in my beautiful brand new home that's just a stone's throw away from local farm fields. There's horses and cows and goats and stacks of hay and vast fields, and the rivers are super clean here too. Now, the air quality is not great. It can be good and it can be bad, and what happens is that there's a lot of fires that come in from Oregon and California and the local mountains, and it causes poor air quality, and so local sporting events often have to get canceled. Now, there is also an inversion that occurs. So this is where basically a warm pocket of air sits over a cold pocket of air, and it kind of locks in the clouds and the cold air. But it does go away after a little while, and we still have about 300 days of sunshine here. Now, the city has a good school system and a wide range of options for both public, private, and charter school options. However, I do have to warn you that woke politics are coming from the school districts here too. Wokeism is a disease that's infecting schools everywhere, and it's not just because Californians are moving living here. Caldwell School District is actually in the middle of a fight right now over allowing trans kids into the opposite sex bathrooms. But there are some other good options here, including a thriving homeschool community. In fact, the homeschool group that we were a part of in San Diego is coming to Boise next year. Now, I love the easy access to outdoors, and there's just so much opportunity to hike, mountain bike, or even hit the ski slopes within just an hour drive. And a couple hours away, you've got world-class skiing and snowboarding. Additionally, with so many more people working remotely, Boise has become an attractive place to live for people from all over the country, but especially from California. The city is home to many tech companies and startups that are growing rapidly, and the cost of living is still relatively low compared to other major cities. This has led to a diverse and vibrant community of people from all over the country. In terms of the housing market, Boise has a wide range of options from historic homes to new construction, apartments to single-family homes, and the cost of living, like I said, is still significantly lower. So that's been a huge relief for me and for many others. Now, I was able to find a really great home here that I could afford, which is just something I couldn't do in California anymore. Now, I've also discovered that there is a good scene here in Boise. It's not quite like Southern California, and there's definitely solid restaurants, cafes, and bars all around the Treasure Valley. But what I really love are the local farmers markets, especially in Nampa and Caldwell. Boise also actually has one too, and you can get fresh produce and products there too. Now, there's a decent craft beer scene here too, with a lot of breweries and tap rooms to choose from, and Boise also has a lot to offer in terms of entertainment. Now, even though there's no pro sports team, Boise State with their iconic blue turf is a huge local favorite, but I personally don't love the blue turf, but to each his own. The Idaho Ford Center in Nampa has a lot of concerts throughout the year, and the Stampede Rodeo is hosted here every single year. So if you love God and country, the Stampede Rodeo is definitely worth checking out. Now, Boise itself also has a good performing arts scene. It has a symphony, opera, and ballet. There's also theaters, comedy clubs, and music venues. Now, Boise and the surrounding areas has tons of parks, lakes, rivers, outdoor activities, splash pads, playgrounds, tons of access to hiking, fishing, and boating. Now, one of the things that I love about Boise is its proximity to other places. The city is just a short drive away from great destinations like Sun Valley, McCall, Tamarack Resort, and you're not too far from the incredible national parks like Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons. Now, I'm just so grateful that I decided to make the move here with my family and pull out of California. It's just been a huge quality of life improvement, and my family loves it. We just love living here. Now, there's a lot of pros and cons to it. I covered a lot of them here. There's certainly more pros, there's more cons. I'll cover more of those in other videos. But if you are looking to move here to the Idaho area, Boise and Treasure Valley in particular, I am a local real estate agent, and I do love helping people move here just like I did myself. I get reach outs all the time from people just like you. So all you got to do is reach out via phone, text, or email. My contact information is down below and on the screen right here. We'll get on a Zoom call and we'll figure out what area works best for you with your budget and your lifestyle, whether you want to be close to the river in Eagle or Star, or more out in the country in like Caldwell, Nampa, or maybe Kuna, or maybe you want to be right in the action of the city with Boise. And if that's you, all you got to do is reach out, again, phone, text, or email. And if you are looking for some of the most affordable places to live, ranked from worst to best, you just got to check out this video right here. It goes over all that, and I'll see you on that video.